back to the YouTube channel of Pro Enzo Vids, and this is my round 4 tips for 2023. So look, plenty of great NRL games this weekend, plenty of mouth-watering games, and I cannot wait for it. You know, it's going to be a hectic week with so many games being played that are just getting hype or getting really built up for a big, you know, a big sort of atmosphere ahead for how it's going to be. Like obviously Thursday night, Eels and Panthers, the grand final rematch at CommBank. That's going to be massive. Same with, you know, Manly Souths on Saturday will be great. I'll be going to that game as well, so I'll see anyone there that's going. But I think the biggest one out of them all is obviously the Dolphins and Broncos game, because one of these sides will go 4-0, they win. So it's crazy to think that one of these sides will start the year 4-0. So it's a big game for both sides, because I don't think both Dolphins or Broncos would like to have their momentum stopped soon with a loss. So we'll see how this game goes. But looking forward to it. Should be a good round ahead. And please be sure to like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Yeah, obviously the sub count's getting a lot better than ever. So I do appreciate all the new support and the new subscribers to the YouTube channel. It really does mean a lot to myself and the YouTube channel. But without further ado, time to get into my round 4 tips of 2023. Right, so the very first game in round 4, it is the Eels taking on the Panthers at CommBank Stadium on the Thursday night there at 8 PM. Yeah, look, massive game, grand final rematch. Doesn't get any bigger than this. I know Eels have not had the best start to the year, but I think with it being a grand final rematch, you think and expect them to actually turn up. And if they don't, well, hopefully another 2018 is coming up. Anyway, looking at both the teams, for the Eels, Ryan Madison does return this week, which is big for them. And will be a welcome addition for the Eels. Matt Dury moves to the bench, and Jack Murchie head knock is out. Brendan Hands has been named to make his NRL debut from the bench, so yeah, another NRL debutant video there. Jairo Momoisia drops to reserves, and Regan Campbell-Gillard is free to face the Premiers after taking an early guilty plea. For the Panthers, Scott Sorensen returns from a head knock, and that means Matt Eisenhuth drops to 18th man, so that's the only changes there for Penrith. Who am I tipping? Like I said, I expect Eels to turn up for this one, but you know, I do think that the quality amongst that Penrith team will definitely be a bit too strong, and I don't think Penrith will slack off against a club like Eels. So I think Penrith will win here 1-12 only though. I've got Panthers by 10, and for first try scorer, I'm going to back in. I'm going to back in actually Luke Garner for first try. Just have a feeling he might get over at some point. So Luke Garner for first try, and Panthers 1-12. Right, on to the next game now. It is the Storm taking on the West Tigers at Amy Park in Melbourne. So again, for the Storm, it's been a very slow start. Obviously, losing to the Titans with 38 points put on them is not Melbourne-like. I have no doubt Bellamy is fuming about that and would like to see a bit more of a response this time around. And, you know, I think it's embarrassing the way they've started, but they've had injuries, of course, which makes sense. So, yeah, we'll see how they go this week. As for the Tigers, they've made a lot of changes to their team, and it's very intriguing changes as well. They weren't that bad against the Bulldogs towards the end, but for most games they were shocking. So they're in a real form slump themselves. So we'll see if they get their first win of the season in Melbourne. It'll be tough, but we'll see. So look at the teams now. For the Storm, Cameron Munster does return after missing 2 games with a finger injury, so I'm expecting him to play. He might be ruled out late, but I think he'll play actually this time around. Jonah Pezzett goes to the reserves. Jerome Hughes heads to the judiciary on Tuesday nights to seek a downgrade on his dangerous contact charge. If he is successful, he'll play. So for now, he's been named the halfback, but we'll see if he does play. So that's the changes there for Melbourne. For the Tigers, Adam Doueihi moves to fullback from 5'8", which is very interesting. We'll see how that goes. Brandon Wakeham taking up the 6 jersey. Charlie Staines goes to the wing, and Ofaluma has been dropped, obviously. And Papali'i is back from suspension, so that means he'll start, and Dane Laurie makes his return from a knee injury on the bench as that jersey 14 role. Alex Seyfarth has been added to the bench at the expense of Joe Ofahengawi, and Jake Simpkin is listed among the reserves. So yeah, look, obviously some changes for both sides, but we'll see how they both go on Friday. But who am I tipping? I'll back in Melbourne at home. Like, I was tempted to go over the Tigers, but if Munster plays and if Hughes gets off, then I think it's enough for Melbourne to win at home. So I'm going to go the Storm here. You know what? I'm going to go to the Storm here by 14 points. I think it'll be a 13 plus margin, but not a big 13 plus. But I think the Melbourne Storm will react and respond at home, in my opinion. So I'll go to Storm here by 14. And first try scorer, I'll go with Will Warbrick. On to the next game now. It is the Dolphins taking on the Broncos and a massive game coming up. Obviously, this game has been hyped up as some sort of big rivalry coming into the future. But look, it's their first game against each other. We can't expect the biggest things to happen just yet. But I think down the track with all these player poachings and all this talk about, who owns Brisbane or whatever, it's going to eventually build a bit of friction and definitely build something, that will make them hate each other in the future. So, yeah, Dolphins and Broncos, big game ahead. Both teams are 3-0, so undefeated. And unfortunately for one of these clubs, they will lose on Friday. But fortunately for one of these clubs, they'll be 4-0. So it's a big game. It really is. Looking at both sides, Felice Kaufusi has been named, but is pending a trip on pending on a trip to the judiciary on Tuesday. If he is successful, he can play, but will leave Kaufusi with a fine. So we'll see what happens. And if he's unsuccessful, he'll miss 4 games. Jared Wallace makes a welcome return after missing round 3 for personal reasons. So Kurt Donahue drops to the bench. And as for the Broncos, no injury concerns for them or any players out. So Kevin Walters has kept the same 17. So, look, interesting game. I cannot wait for it. Should be good. It's very tough. It's a very tough game to tip. I don't know which way to go. But I think, unfortunately, the Dolphins' magical run is going to end. I just think with the Broncos being at home, they're a changed side, and I think they'll if Walsh can play the same as he did the past 2 weeks, and if Mam and Reynolds can just keep doing their thing, then they should be good enough to win. So I'll go the Broncos here by 4 points. So it'll be a tight game, but I'm thinking they'll win on Friday. But it can go either way. I'll say that much. And sorry, first try scorer, going to back in Selwyn Cobbo. Right, on to Super Saturday, the very first game of Super Saturday out of 2 games only, though. It is the Cowboys taking on the Titans at Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville. And yeah, this does shape up to be another interesting game because obviously the Cowboys, had a tough loss to the Warriors last week. And, there's no doubt that they would like to think they can bounce back at home and get a win here. But as for the Titans, while they've been good, I guess their defense has been a bit suspect. But I think both sides will be up for it, in my opinion. I think this will be a good game ahead. So looking at both sides, for the Cowboys, Griffin Neame starts at prop because Ruben Cotter is injured. So James Tarmo joins the bench, and Tom Chester keeps the fullback job in the absence of Scott Drinkwater. Mitch Dunn made his way back to the field last week in the Queensland Cup after having recovered from ACL injury, and could be a chance to play this week. Okay, well, it's not that bad if he does play. And for the Titans, it seems like they've got the same team as last week. So, yeah, no changes for the Titans. Who am I tipping for this game? I'll tip Cowboys. I'll tip Cowboys here by 8 points. But seriously, though, if they don't win this game, I think they're in a lot of trouble, in my opinion. And, at home, it's not often they lose back-to-back games at home. So I do think I'll trust them and get the win at home. And first try scorer, gonna go with... you know what? I'm gonna go with Murray Talangi in the wing for first try. All right, on to the next game of Super Saturday, which is the last one. It is a very big game, and it's obviously my boys taking on the Rabbitohs at a core stadium. So obviously the Rabbitohs home game, and their return to a core stadium. So it'd be big for them, being back at home, I guess, with all the home fans being there. And yeah, look, obviously for Manly, they've been in good form recently. There's no doubt that I think we'd like to try and keep that good form up. So it should be a very good contest, I reckon. It should be close. And, there's so many good matchups this week as well. Or actually in this game, there's just so many good matchups like Tom v. Latrell, Kohler v. Graham, battle of the back rowers, Kalon Matangi v. Olakawatu. That's going to be massive. So it should be a good game, this one. Going for the Rabbitohs team, Hame Sele, who failed his HIA last week, is out. So under the new rules, obviously he can't play. So it means that Shaq Mitchell's also out, suffering a foot injury. So Tevez Tola is also out because of some sort of other knee issue he has. So that means Daniel Sluka Fafita starts at prop this time. Jacob Host returns from a calf injury, starts in the back row. And Blake Taft joins the bench after he was 18th man last week. And as for us, as for Manly, Anthony Seabold goes with the same squad that beat Eels last week. So yeah, look, it's the same teams last week pretty much. Who am I tipping in this game? This is like hard because, you know, of all the other games that have been played the other like past couple of weeks, I've been pretty confident that we'll get the job done. But this one's very different. Like, just it's gonna be like a lot closer, I reckon. And yeah, look, I expect both teams to put up a fight, but I don't know. I'll back Manly. Obviously, I think I'll just stick with my boys here, but I can't be shocked if South win it. You know, I know South have some troops out, but you know, at home they're usually a good side at a core, so I can't underestimate that, and no one should if you're a Manly fan. So I think we'll win 1-12, but yeah, it'll be closer than you think. And I'll go first try scorer Alex Johnston because I think he'll score the very first try being back at a call. On to the very first game of Sunday. It is the Warriors taking on the Bulldogs at Mount Smart Stadium at 2 p.m. So back to the 2 p.m. Time slot on the Sunday there. So yeah, look, another interesting game coming up because the Warriors had a good win over the Cowboys in Townsville, a shock win, but it was a good one. And for the Dogs, nearly lost against the Tigers, but still managed to hang on and get a win there. So yeah, good on them, I guess. But should be an interesting game, this one as well. But going through both sides, Charnze Nicoll is back from a head knock, so he will start at fullback, and Taine Tuapiki goes back to the reserves, who had a good debut actually against the Cowboys last week. Jackson Ford also returns from a head knock and slots into the back row, and Wade Egan is out with a head knock, so he is replaced by Freddie last week, and Mitch Barnett has been sidelined by a neck injury. For the Bulldogs, Cameron Solrado has get the same 17 as last week, so no changes there for the Dogs. Who am I tipping this one though? Very tough game, and I think it'll be very close as well. But I reckon the Warriors at home, I think they'll win. I think if they can win in Townsville and if they can make the trip up to Townsville and push the Cowboys there and get a win, then there's no reason why they can't go back to New Zealand and get a win at home. So there's they'll be full of confidence, I reckon. So I think they'll win here by about 6 points, and I'll go first try scorer Viliami Vailea in the centres. On to the second last game of round 4. It is the Knights taking on the Raiders at Newcastle, McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle. And yeah, look, obviously another tough game to tip because, look, while Knights have not been the best form as of recent at Newcastle, they are pretty decent when they're on. I mean, Dolphins game says otherwise, obviously, but usually when they get behind, or usually when the fans get behind them in Newcastle, they play actually not too bad. So we'll see how they go this week. And as for Raiders, they got a lucky win over the Sharks, which I tipped to happen. So we'll see if they back up that same form heading into this game. But looking at both sides, Daniel Saifidi has been named after suffering a shoulder injury last week. Darren Bradley returns from a head knock, and Jack Johns is back from an ankle injury. Tyson Frizzell has been named among the reserves and could be a late inclusion. Greg Marves takes the wing spot of Dom Young, who's been dropped. And Leo Thompson moves from lock to prop, and Jack Hetherington goes to the bench. And Kurt Mann is back from a shoulder injury at locks. And last week's debutant Dylan Lucas is 18th man. And for the Raiders, Josh Papali'i has recovered from a calf injury and lines up for his first game of the year. So Emre Guler goes to the bench, and Trey Mooney is out. And Zach Wolford replaces Danny Levi, broken jaw, as starting hooker. So a few changes for both these teams here. It'd be tough to know which way this does go. But I'm going to tip the Raiders here by 4. I do think it'll be a lot closer than what we think. I was initially thinking 13 plus, but maybe just with Brayley back and having potentially Frizzell play might just even up the score a bit. So I'll go Raiders here by 4. But my first try scorer will be the returning Greg Marves. Right, on to the last game in round 4. It is the Sharks taking on the Dragons at Australia Jubilee Stadium as the 6:15 time slot. Yeah, look, rivals, but not as big as what it used to be. So I don't really consider it being a fierce one. But look, for Dragons last week, they were good for most of the portion of the game. But, you know, to be 18 all with about 10 minutes to go and then get run down 40 points to 18, it's just embarrassing. So Whatever happened towards the end there when they clocked off, yeah, who knows? But just another misery of the story for that club anyway. And for the Sharks, you know, were unlucky to lose, I guess, but they were not bad. So I'm expecting a bit of a bounce back this week, this time around. For the Dragons, Toby Couchman returns after suffering a head knock in his debut game in round 2 against the Titans. So Michael Molo makes way. Aaron Woods and youngster Talatai Moan are listed among the reserves. And Sharks have Nico Hines back, which is a big in. Nico Hines obviously is a big influence in that team, so his presence should be massive for the Sharks side. But yeah, look, it's an easy tip for me. Gonna go to the Sharks here, 13 plus. I think Sharks will win by about 16. Look, I don't think it's pretty rare to see Sharks have back-to-back bad games. I think they'll be a bit too strong for that Dragons team. So I'll go Sharks here by 16. And first try scorer, the one and only Ronaldo Mulatalo. But anyways, everyone, that brings an end to my round 4 NRL tips of 2023. I hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and comment your tips in the comment section down below. Really am keen to hear what your thoughts are this week around. So, let me know your tips in the comments down below. But anyways, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.